Hello everybody, and welcome to this video of myself and Simon Bates.
Hello.
And today we're looking at something a little bit different.
Very different.
Very different. This is a Trevor James Alpha, or a TJ, as they often shorten themselves to. And there's a couple of interesting bits about this we're going to talk about, but I think we're just going to deal with the instrument itself first and how it's put together, and then maybe we'll talk about the idea of having this sort of simplified saxophone. So let's just explain what it is. It's a lighter weight alto saxophone. Look at him pumping iron. So it's pitched in E flat. It's just like a normal alto saxophone in terms of where it's tonally and pitch wise, but it has a vastly reduced set of alternate and side key elements to it. So when we say that, if you're a mum and dad watching this for a kid, I don't want to lose you with technicalities, but if you're a saxophone player watching this and you already know all the side keys, I want this to be relevant to you as well. So I'm going to try and walk that line. On the left hand, where you would normally have the three palm keys, there is just the one, which takes you up to the high D. On the lower left hand, you have the G sharp side key and the C sharp. I shouldn't call them side keys, sorry, that's incorrect, but finger keys, left hand, whatever you want to call them, table keys, I suppose, where normally there's a set of four there, which allows you to play these two lowest notes, which are not on this instrument. So you're missing a B and a B flat, and you'll notice you don't have the keys there. And it goes down to a low C, which is the bottom note on this particular instrument. What is interesting, just as we show, if we can show the back, Simon, yeah, and I might even turn it up to the big camera there,
okay.
is there's a hole here, and we've sold some of these before and had a very panicked parent on the phone the day after and say, the saxophone you've sold me has got a hole in it. To which I usually say, yes, well, there's a number of holes in that saxophone, madam. No. But the hole at the back there is important to vent this low C to allow that to be in tune, because normally on the saxophone you've got two tone holes here that allow the air out, which keeps the whole end of the instrument in pitch. So there is supposed to be a hole there. It's not an error. They've not missed off a key or anything like that. Okay. If we just carry on with the technical differences, sorry, Simon, because I know I'm going on, but I think it's really important people know what is different about this. On the right hand, you've just got the E flat and the low C key, and on your side here, you've just got the side B flat key, which is pretty critical. So the idea being, if you've got a very young player, these are about 25%. I've seen 33 picked as I don't really know what that means. It depends what you're measuring it against. But I would say they're a good 25 to 30% lighter than a quote unquote normal alto saxophone. And they have enough keys on them to get up to about the grade 3 repertoire within the associated board schools of music. Now, we've got some other thoughts about that, which we're going to come to after. But Simon, maybe just let's hear it, because it's a fully functioning sax from that point of view, and then we'll get your feelings on it as well. So, as you can hear, you can kind of do all that on it still. But I know what's going on in Simon's brain and his fingers when he's doing that. He's thinking, where have those keys gone?
Yeah, it is. It's harder work for me because, you know, I'm used to having a lot more going on up here and on the side and down here with little fingers and palm keys, side keys and things. But
it's not meant for you, and that's
exactly,
the thing, isn't it?
But this is the thing, you know, if you're already play saxophone and you're thinking of going on to one of these, you're really going to struggle. But if you're starting on this, I can't see why, you know, once you start on this, it'll start you off. I can't see why it couldn't give you some sort of advantage if you're too young perhaps or too small for a normal saxophone. The keys are a lot closer together, and yeah, I mean I'm stretching further than I need to play things. So it does take a lot of adjustment for me, but obviously for someone age 6 or 7. It would probably be a lot easier to play than a normal saxophone.
And I think that's the point. These really are absolutely focused at that age group. And maybe to music services who are buying a set of them and teaching a class for 3, 6, 9, 12 months, whatever it is. And then the idea being that you then maybe, if you're a bit older, you're big enough to go on to a normal alto. I think if we're just going to throw in a little bit of a caveat, not even a caveat, but just an alternate way of looking at things, I think if you're looking at this sort of thing, it's definitely something you want to check with your teacher about. Do they know this instrument? Have they taught on this instrument? Are they happy teaching on this instrument? Because in my experience through the shop for many years, there are a set of people and teachers who are really happy and really love them and dig the whole idea. And then there's a set of people who don't particularly want you to go down that route. Thankfully, that's not for me to tell you, that's for them to tell you. I can sit happily in the middle. But I suspect if we cover some of the issues, if you can bear with us for another minute or two, it might be interesting, about why the people who probably don't favour them. And I think potentially it's the fact that you are possibly teaching people ways to play the instrument that they then might struggle when they actually do have all the right keys on. I don't know, what do you think,
No,
Simon?
I agree. I think if your hands are big enough to play a normal instrument, I would recommend going for a normal instrument. This is the sort of thing you'd use if your child is very, very keen to start on the saxophone and would struggle with a conventional instrument. You know, it might be 4 or 5 year olds are very keen to start on saxophone rather than on clarinet or flute, which are possibly easier for little fingers. So, you know, we've seen lots of inventions like the Lion C clarinet and that sort of thing for younger players, and I don't think it's a bad thing. But the one thing I will say is before long you will need to get rid of your Alpha Sax and get something else. So from an investment point of view, I don't know. You know, it may not be the best thing to buy.
Yeah, it's difficult. You've got to look at the price and your situation and everything else. And like Simon says, there will be a time pretty quickly where you need to change to a conventional sax. And the question then is, and I think this is what some of the teachers in that camp feel, that there's a period of then getting used to and potentially relearning certain things. But we're just representing both sides of the argument. I can see all sides. And as I say, it's not for me to decide. Fundamentally, though, this is a really nice bit of kit, very well thought out. And I think the principle of it, of trying to develop and engage in that younger audience, should be encouraged. So absolutely we do.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing because I think we, you know, as saxophonists, we've all encountered people who are ideally too small to play the saxophone. You know, you have to say to their parents, sorry, you know, they're just not ready for it. This sort of thing is the solution for those children. But it's to get people enthused in playing the saxophone, and then, you know, they'll need to upgrade.
See them through the normal method, And if you've got a kid with the buzz who wants to do it, you shouldn't kind of sit on that, really. That's the thing. So anyway, that's what the TJ Alpha is. That's what it sounds like. Very well made, you know, very reliable from that point of view. And, you know, if you do get one for a couple of years, and we will always buy it back off you, and there is a second-hand market. So don't worry too much about the fact you would have to then change again. And if it makes a difference between starting and not starting, and you want to go down that route, then go for it, basically. Cool. Okay, well, maybe give us a little bit more, just because I want to give you that brain training, Simon.